All right, let's dive right in. Today, we are exploring Sancerre, a French wine that, and this is no exaggeration, literally tastes like the ground it comes from. We're going to see how every single bottle tells a story that's written right there in the soil. You hear this all the time from wine pros, right? That tasting Sancerre is like experiencing the essence of the Loire Valley. And look, that's not just some fancy wine speak. It really means something. This isn't just a beverage. It's like a liquid postcard from one very, very specific place on Earth. So what is that essence, really? That's the big question, and it's exactly what we're going to answer today. We're about to find out how this small patch of land in central France creates a wine that's known and absolutely loved all over the globe. Okay, so let's start where it always matters most, in the glass. Let's just forget about the history and the dirt for a second. When you pour a classic white Sancerre, what does it actually taste and smell like? Well, first off, this is a wine that just snaps to attention. You get this incredible, vibrant, crisp acidity that just makes your mouth water instantly. And then the aromas hit you. We're talking bright citrus like lemon and grapefruit, maybe a fresh green note of freshly cut grass. But here's the magic part, the finish. It has this distinct minerality that people describe as smelling like wet stones or flint or chalk. See, this isn't just another fruity wine. It's something else entirely. So where in the world do those flint and chalk notes come from? I promise it's not some trick they're doing in the winery. The secret is in the land itself, a concept the French have a famous word for, terroir. You know, you can think of terroir as a wine's environmental DNA. It's the sum of all the local stuff, the specific climate, the type of soil, the way the hills are angled. All of it comes together to create a unique signature in that final wine. It's the whole reason the exact same grape can taste completely different when you grow it in two different places. And in Sancerre, this DNA has three really crucial parts. First, you've got the Loire River, which basically acts like a natural air conditioner, keeping things from getting too hot or too cold. Then you have the rolling hills, which give every single vineyard a slightly different angle to the sun. But the real star of the show, the thing that truly makes Sancerre, well, Sancerre, is the soil. And this is where you can literally taste the geology. Sancerre has what they call a holy trinity of soils. You've got silex, which is flint, and it gives the wine that smoky, almost gunflint aroma and a kind of tension that lets it age for years. Then there's cailloux, these little limestone pebbles that create more aromatic wines with a really distinct chalky feel. And finally, terres blanches, a mix of clay and limestone produces wines that are richer, more powerful, with more body. Seriously, a winemaker here is basically a geologist with a corkscrew. So if the terroir is the story, then the grapes are kind of like the characters that tell that story. And in Sancerre, there are really only two main characters that you need to know about. I mean, just look at this. The region's focus is absolutely crystal clear. Sauvignon Blanc is the undisputed king here, making up a whopping 80% of everything that's grown. That's the grape behind the iconic white Sancerre. The other 20%, that's all dedicated to Pinot Noir. Sauvignon Blanc is just a perfect messenger for Sancerre's soil. It gives us those classic, aromatic, zesty, mineral-driven white wines we've been talking about. But the Pinot Noir is fascinating too. It's used to make the region's really elegant red and rosé wines. They're light, they're fresh, and they're just bursting with red fruit flavors like cherry and raspberry. Now, you might think Sancerre has always been the world headquarters for Sauvignon Blanc, but the region's history has a pretty dramatic plot twist. A huge crisis in the late 19th century completely reshaped its identity and, in a really strange way, actually secured its future. Winemaking here goes way back to the Roman era. But get this, for centuries, Sancerre was actually known as red wine country. It was dominated by Pinot Noir, mostly grown by monks back in the Middle Ages. By the 17th century, it was famous all across Europe. But then, disaster struck. In the late 1800s, this tiny insect plague called phylloxera showed up and completely wiped out the vineyards. It was like hitting a total reset button on the entire region. But what happened next is the really amazing part of the story. The whole region had to be replanted from scratch. And in the process, growers discovered that Sauvignon Blanc didn't just grow in Sancerre's unique soils, it thrived. It was perfect. So this massive catastrophe actually forced a complete rebirth, making Sauvignon Blanc the new star and eventually earning Sancerre its official AOC status. That's France's highest mark of quality back in 1936. Okay, so we've talked about the land, the grapes, the wild history. Let's bring it all back home and talk about how to actually enjoy Sancerre. What are the different styles, and most importantly, what do you eat with them? All right, the classic Sancerre Blanc is just legendary with local goat cheese and fresh oysters. Its incredible acidity just cuts through the richness perfectly. It's a match made in heaven. The Sancerre Rouge from Pinot Noir is brilliant with something like roasted chicken or earthy mushroom dishes. And that crisp, dry Sancerre Rosé, oh, it's perfect for a summer day with fresh salads or some light appetizers. Sancerre has this incredibly rich history, but it's not some museum piece stuck in time. The producers there are looking to the future, facing brand new challenges, and working hard to preserve the traditions that make their wines so special in the first place. So like almost every wine region on the planet, Sancerre is grappling with climate change, which affects everything from when the grapes ripen to the final style of the wine. Plus, there's a ton of competition from other Sauvignon Blanc producers around the world. But in response, winemakers are innovating. There's a huge movement towards sustainable, organic, and even biodynamic farming to protect the health of that precious terroir. It's all about balancing that unique identity while adapting to survive. And that really leaves us with the big question, doesn't it? Sancerre is a wine that is completely defined by its unique place on Earth. Its magic comes from that specific combination of soil, slope, and climate. So as those things start to shift, can the winemakers adapt and innovate enough to preserve that essence, that story in the soil, for all of us in the future? It's a question the entire wine world is watching very, very closely.